Hi everyone, it's Nicole and I'm here with another book haul. So we'll just get started. Some of these I got at Book Outlet, some of them I got at Chapter, some of them I got at a thrift store. So I'll try to remember where I got everything. So these first few are from Book Outlet. So this is Emery Lord, When We Collided, and it's a contemporary. I read one of her books before and I really liked it, so I thought I would give this one a shot, and it was really cheap. Then this was, it came out a couple years ago. Again, I believe it's a contemporary. It's called Dreamology from Lucy Keating. And it was on Book Outlet for super cheap, so I got that. This is a fantasy book. It's called Freaks by Amanda Hocking. And I heard a few people talking about this and it sounded interesting to me. It's about a traveling carnival. So I got that. All these are young adult. This I believe might be young adult or middle grade, but it's about being able to jump between books. It's called The Book Jumper by, I don't think I can say that name, Child Glazer. So, yeah, I think it's either, like I said, a middle grade or a young adult. It sounded good. This is from Jodi Picoult. She writes these heart-wrenching contemporaries, and I got this at a secondhand store for super cheap. I think I paid $2 or $3 for it. $3. So I had to get it because it was super cheap. This is The Loose Ends List by Carrie Firestone. This I've already read. I got it at Book Outlet, so it was super cheap. And I know it's a contemporary. It's about this girl where her grandmother announces that, you know, she has a terminal disease, and they go off on this cruise where everybody has something in common. They are there themselves because they're going to die themselves, or they're one of their family members, and it's sort of like them spending time together before it happens and them choosing the way that they pass away too. So it was super good. I really enjoyed it. I read that back in June. This is the story of Hamilton and Peggy, Alexander Hamilton, and this is by L.M. Eliot, and I've mentioned this before. I am obsessed with Hamilton. Actually, the next book I bought while I was in New York. This is by Ron Chernow, Alexander Hamilton. So I bought this one also while I was in New York. Then this is by Lily Anderson, Undead Girl Gang. This is about a girl that her friend dies, and they say that it was a suicide, but she doesn't believe that it's so. And she is a Wicca or a witch, and she brings her friend back, but the problem is she brings 2 or 3 of them back from the dead, and they're trying to figure out like it wasn't suicide, they were murdered. So I can't wait to read that. This is by Beyond Belief, Jenna Miscavige Hill with Lisa Pulitzer. And I believe I saw Sarah Swan talking about this, and it's, I know I said I don't usually like nonfiction, but this sounded really interesting. So I got it at the thrift store for $1.99, so I decided to get it. This is Christina Lauren autobiography, and I've read a couple of well, this is two authors. I've read a couple of their books and absolutely loved it. So this came up on Book Outlet, so I decided to get it. I'm not really sure what it is. I know they write contemporary, so it is fine. And this is Foolish Heart by Emma Mills. I read 2 of her other books and absolutely loved it. So when I saw this on Book Outlet, I decided to get it. And again, it's a young adult contemporary. Not really sure what it's about, but whenever I love an author and I can find the books for really cheap, I don't mind getting them. Now, Neil Shusterman, a lot of people talk about this author. This is one of his older books. And again, I got it at Book Outlet, Challenger Deep. Have no idea what it's about. It won the National Book Award. So that was good enough for me. Now, I've heard about this author, Ellen Hilderbrand, and I found a whole bunch of her books, which you'll see in a minute, at the thrift store. This one I bought new. It was on sale, and it's an adult contemporary. So this is The Perfect Couple. Don't know what it's about. I usually tend to like going into my books, not really knowing anything, and just going ahead and reading it. So this again is from her. This one I got at the thrift store. It's called A Summer Affair. Contemporary. Can't wait to read it. This is from Sean David Hutchinson. And this again, I got a book outlet. We Are the Ants. And I've heard so many people talk about this book saying that it's their favorite. So when I saw it there for cheap on Book Outlet, I decided to get it. The next one is The Casual Vacancy by J.K. Rowling. I'm reading Harry Potter right now. I'm loving it. Now, I know this is not even close to it. This is contemporary, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being the same as Harry Potter. So I don't think anything can beat Harry Potter as far as how, you know, it moves along, and just an awesome series. Now this one here is a thriller, and I really don't know what it's about. I heard a few people talk about it. It's called Dangerous Girls by Abigail Hawes. And again, Book Outlet, super cheap. Got it. And this is a sci-fi. It's the Starflight, I think it's a trilogy by Melissa Landers. I had the second book, but I didn't have the first book. So when they got it on Book Outlet, it doesn't have a dot, but I got it from Book Outlet. And it was super cheap, so I decided to get it. Next, this is by Shannon Hale, Book of 1,000 Days. Now, Haley from Haley in Bookland talks about this author quite a bit, and this series of book, which I also got, but it's probably going to be in the next haul. But this one is, I think it's a young adult or middle grade, but it's a book of 1,000 days, so we'll see what it's about. Sounds good to me. Now, Reagan from Peruse Project, and I had somebody ask me, you know, who this was, and she's a booktuber here on YouTube. And if you just Google Peruse Project, her name is Reagan. She has a booktube channel. So she talks about books, and she's rereading this series by Neil Shusterman, and they had them at on Book Outlet. They had book 1 and they had book 3. They didn't have book 2. So I'll just keep looking to see when they do get it, and then I'll get it from Book Outlet. And this is, I'm not really sure what this is about. They survive a crash, and now their soul is stuck between life and death, and they gotta figure out how to come back, I guess, to the living. And so it sounded interesting, so I decided to get it. This is book 2 of The Queens of Renthia. Again, I got this on Book Outlet. It's by Sarah Beth Durst. And like I said, I like to get the whole series. It is a fantasy, young. I think this one is adult. And so I like to get the whole series before I start. This is an adult contemporary by Tracy Garvis Graves, and it's called On the Island. And it's about something about they crash on an island, and it's an English teacher and a student and things that go on from there. And Lisa from Books and Smile talks about this book all the time. So again, Book Outlet. So I decided to get it. The next one is The Crown's Fate by Evelyn Skye. And this is it's a duology to The Crown's Game. So there's only 2 books in this series, and it's Russian inspired, I believe. And it's a fantasy I had to get the second book so that I could finish the series and so I could read it. So this again was from Book Outlet. Now these next ones were from a thrift store. So this one was in pretty bad shape, but you know what? I'm just going to read it. It was like $1.99, so $2. And this is the Hypnotist Love Story by Leanne Moriarty. And I read The Big Little Lies from her, and I really loved it. So I thought, you know what? For $2, I'll get it, read it. And if, you know, the book bothers me because it's so messed up, I'll just give it away. And this one, too, I got at the thrift store. Philippa Gregory, The Last Tutor. I've heard quite a few people talk about her. She's an historical fiction writer, and this has to do with some queens. Jane Grey was Queen of England for 9 days. And oh, awesome. Because last year I read My Lady Jane, and I wanted to read more about Jane Grey. So yay, I didn't even know. I knew that it was historical fiction and I wanted to read it, but that right now is interesting me even more. So yay. Then the next one, again, I got at the thrift store, again by Ellen Hildebrand. It's called The Rumor. So I got this for, it was $5 or $6. It's at, oh, which thrift store was it? I can't remember where I got it, but it was a little bit more than the other one, but it was still worth it. I mean, an adult contemporary can be like up to $30. So, and then I got The Shack by W.M. Paul Young, and again I got it at the thrift store. Don't know too much about it, but it was Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, or Sarah Swan here on the Scrapbooking World. She read it and she really liked it, so I decided to get it. Only a couple more, oh, maybe more than a couple more. And this is Madeline Miller Circe. This is a fantasy, and I know it has to do with witches. And she's the one that wrote the Song of Achilles, which I did get on my Kindle. But this came, it was a really good price, so I decided to get the hardback cover. So there's that. Then another one that I got on Book Outlet, it is called The Lonesome Dove by Larry McCurdy. And this is like a Western, I believe. But again, Sarah Swan read this from Sarah's Nightstand, and she absolutely loved it. So I decided to give it a try. It was on Book Outlet, super cheap, so I decided to get it. Now these next two are from the same series. I have book 2 missing, but this is the Au Pair series by Melissa de la Cruz. I got Beach Lane, which is book 1. I have Sunkiss, which is book 3. So I'm just going to keep looking and seeing if I can find book 2. And I think there's another book, book 4. But it's contemporary, young adult. And Lisa from Books and Smile was talking about that. And usually when she recommends a book and I read it, I usually love it. We seem to have the same kind of taste. Now the next two are thrillers. So this one is The Rattled Bones by S.M. Parker. I don't want to know anything about thrillers because I'm always afraid that whatever they put as their description is going to be a spoiler. So I don't want to know anything about it. And this one is What Lies Between Us by Naomi Munawira. And both of those I got at Book Outlet. So again, cheap. The next one I got at thrift store. And again, it's from Ellen Hildebrand, Silver Girl. They had a ton by this author there, so I decided to get them. I love, this is like an adult contemporary, so awesome beach read. Now, the next one is, I think it's a fantasy. It's called The Book of M by Peng Shepherd. I know it has to do with their memories. They keep losing their memories or something. And then the last one, these two I bought new. The last one is The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This has been talked about on BookTube forever lately, and everybody is loving it. So I decided to buy it, and I believe this is a series. So I'm not going to read it right away. I'm going to wait till the books are closer to being all finished published, and then I'll start it. But I like to get them so that I don't have to buy like 3 books in a row. I try to buy, you know, 1 or 2 new books per month, just to kind of spread it out. And then, you know, then the rest I get from Book Outlet, which is super cheap, or the thrift store. And that's it. That's another huge book haul. And I believe I have 1 left. So I'll probably do the other one in a week or so. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.